website I use is for everything, like for sports and stuff. I do my radio.
So today was like hip hop day, so the girls. I gotta drop that too.
In December of 1871, Birmingham, Alabama was incorporated. The city's land is one of only a few areas where limestone, coal, and iron are found in the same geographical area, allowing for the creation of steel. Migrants from neighboring states and towns rushed to the new city. Birmingham quickly earned the title of the Magic City for its combination of resources, rapid growth, and industrial success. Among the early migrants were blacks, who came to the new city for better opportunities. While the term Jim Crow laws did not exist at the time of Birmingham's founding, the city had various ordinances and social codes that separated black and white citizens. Following the 1896 Plessy versus Ferguson decision and the enactment of the 1901 Alabama Constitution, legal segregation became a weapon for the disenfranchisement of black citizens. They did not allow these limitations to prevent their growth and development. Blacks created a prosperous community of churches, businesses, educational institutions, entertainment venues, and social organizations. Today, we will share the story of black resilience, triumph, and success in Birmingham's early history. This story is the foundation of the present success of black citizens in Birmingham. That you stand to your feet as the ensemble sings Lift Every Voice and Sing Black National Anthem.
The libation ceremony is a time to acknowledge those who have come before us, our ancestors. And it is fitting for us to honor and celebrate our rich heritage. This ceremony goes back to ancient times and has existed on many continents. But in Africa, libation plays a large role in society, especially in the Yoruba and Igbo cultures. Ancestors are a vital part of society, so it is only fitting that they are recognized during our important programming. This ceremony shows reverence and honors the wisdom, love, and legacy of those who have paved the way for us. The ceremony is also an opportunity to connect African and African-descended people living in America to our cultural roots. Today, as we begin our Black History Month celebration, we will take a moment to honor our ancestors. Since our bodies are mostly water and the earth is mostly water, we will use water to represent the sanctity and purity of life. If we were outdoors, we would pour this water into the earth, but since we're indoors, we'll use a potted plant, but it's a living plant. And this plant will represent the earth. You are invited to call out the name of someone who has passed into the ancestor realm. This could be someone in your family or someone that you don't know, but who has influenced your life. And in response, we will say Ashe. Ashe is a Yoruba word that means amen. So a name is called, and then I will pour water into the plant, and we will respond with Ashe. So I will begin. Harriet Tubman.
Ashe.
Birmingham Marshall.
Ashe. 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 Ashe.
James Baldwin.
Ashe.
Mark Rex.
Ashe. Ashe. Ashe.
Reverend Fred Schultz.
Ashe.
Carter G. Woodson.
Ashe.
Chadwick Boseman.
Ashe. 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 Ashe.
Good morning. I would like to welcome you all to UAB's second annual Black History program. It is my absolute honor to be introducing this program today. This year we have titled this program UAB Black Birmingham because today we are highlighting the history of Birmingham. I'm sorry? Oh. Can you hear me now? Okay, perfect. So it's my absolute honor to welcome you guys here today. I'm super excited about all that we have in the program. So we've called this UAB Black Birmingham because we are highlighting the history of Birmingham and the history of UAB. If you don't know, UAB was built on a Black community, not only gentrifying the area, but forcing Black families into homelessness or further generational poverty. I'd like to take a moment of silence to remember those people alongside the fact that we are on native land. Today we have amazing speakers, singers, and guests who have worked hard in Birmingham alongside our living museum, that's just back there, that you guys will be introduced to in a moment, in ballrooms A and B, which are absolutely incredible. The history we have at UAB, we tend to forget into our day-to-day lives. So today we are not only celebrating our history, but the history we continue to make. There are several organizations that are also tabling back there, such as Stella 65, which was started in the wake of George Floyd's murder during the rebellions that were going on in Birmingham and Hoover, Alabama. We have Margins, which focuses on Black women in mutual aid. And then we have our very own BSAC, the Black Student Awareness Committee, which I'm a coordinator and part of, and we also have World Pro. As we celebrate our incredible history throughout this program, I want to remind everyone that we should be making history as well. So I really encourage you guys to go up to those tables, ask questions, and try to get involved. I'm going to read a quote from Asar Shakur, and after I read a line, I would like you guys to repeat it back to me. It is our duty to fight for our freedom. It is our duty to fight for our freedom. It is our duty to win. It is our duty to win. We must love and support each other. We must love and support each other. We have nothing to lose but our chains. We have nothing to lose but our chains. That quote is still relevant today. Thank you, and happy Black History Month. Please enjoy the program.
Good afternoon. My name is Chris Jones, and I serve as the Assistant VP for Campus and Community Engagement in the Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion here at UAB. I have the honor of providing the occasion for this year's program. The origins of Black History Month dates back to 1926 with scholar Carter G. Woodson's Declaration of Negro History Week. It has since been expanded to be the entire month of February. It is important to recognize its original intent, which was the celebration of Black contributions in our society. This is vital to note, as we often talk about the Black experience as that of trials and tribulations. We excel despite our oppression, which is why we should celebrate. Last year, this program started as the brainchild of the Office of Veteran Services as an opportunity to contribute to the celebration of Black History Month. Within that effort, the Black Student Awareness Committee was invited to contribute. This year, the event has expanded to include several departments within the Division of Student Affairs and the Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. I highlight this history because we should always recognize where we started and where we intend to go. This year's program seeks to further elevate the story of Black history, and specifically in Birmingham, Alabama. This story will be told through 5 pillars of excellence: education, religion, business, entertainment, and UAB's connection to Birmingham. First, we will highlight the contributions of African Americans who have made strides in education right here in Birmingham, from the creation of schools, and highlight the people who attended our schools and made considerable contributions to our city and the world. We will also highlight religion and how faith leaders in the city of Birmingham helped to shape a more compassionate world for all of us. Black Birmingham also was able to demonstrate economic prosperity despite the insurmountable odds of white supremacy that sought to marginalize Black people as second-class citizens of the city. Even though Black citizens lived under the rule of Jim Crow, they found a way to find joy in various entertainment outlets through music, arts, and athletic competition. Lastly, the history of UAB is also connected to the lives of Black Birmingham by creating several firsts for Black people right here on this campus. So, we ask that you be prepared to enjoy learning and celebrating Black history through the lens of our theme, UA Black Birmingham. Thank you.
Since the city's founding, Black churches have served as the cornerstone of Birmingham's Black community. Churches did not only serve as houses of worship, but often provided a space for recreation, education, entertainment, and health services. 16th Street Baptist Church was organized as the first colored Baptist church of Birmingham in April 1873, less than 2 years after Birmingham's founding. 6th Avenue Baptist followed in 1881 as the second colored Baptist church. The churches became 2 of the most influential Black churches in the city, boasting large memberships of educators, business owners, and physicians. During the late 19th and early 20th centuries, blacks could not use the city's public auditorium spaces. Due to its large size and central location, 16th Street Baptist became known as Everybody's Church for hosting graduation ceremonies, pageants, concerts, and seminars. Influential black speakers including W.E.B. Du Bois, Mary McLeod Bethune, Jackie Robinson, and Paul Roberson spoke from the church's pulpit. 6th Avenue Baptist Church largely contributed to the black community known as Southside. The church's original structure was located at the present site of Cooper Green Mercy Hospital. The Reverend J.W. Goodgame Sr. and his son, the Reverend J.W. Goodgame Jr., helped the church gain widespread recognition for its strong community involvement. By the 1950s, the role of churches increased as civil rights became a pressing concern for black citizens. Churches served as the driving force behind the success of the new movement, providing space for mass meetings and strategy sessions. The Reverend Fred Shuttlesworth, pastor of Bethel Baptist Church, organized the Alabama Christian Movement for Human Rights after the state of Alabama outlawed the NAACP. Bethel naturally became the organization's headquarters. The church's active involvement in the movement and Shuttlesworth's controversial reputation had a price. Bethel suffered a Christmas Day 1956 bombing, a second bombing attempt in 1958, and a minor bombing in 1962. The constant threats to the church did not stop the congregation's active participation. As the movement in Birmingham grew, many other churches opened their doors for mass meetings. Ministers encouraged their members to join in solidarity to support protests and activities. In 1962, Shuttlesworth and the ACMHR invited Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and the Southern Christian Leadership Conference to Birmingham. Their collaborative efforts birthed the highly successful Birmingham campaign, which brought international attention to the civil rights struggle in the city. 16th Street Baptist Church became the primary headquarters due to its large size and central location. During the spring 1963 demonstrations, thousands of students protested with organized action and nonviolence. Public Safety Commissioner Eugene Bull Connor permitted extreme violence using fire hoses and police dogs to prevent the youth from protesting. The widespread negative attention forced city officials and movement leaders to reach a resolution. All signs segregating facilities were permanently barred by the end of the summer of 1963. In September, court-ordered school integration occurred. On September 15th, Ku Klux Klan members bombed the 16th Street Baptist Church, killing 4 little girls. Having served as a staging ground for the spring demonstrations, the church became an immediate target for violence. The events in Birmingham directly influenced the passage of the 1964 Civil Rights Act. Black churches provided the necessary ingredients for the success of the Birmingham campaign. Nearly 60 churches served as movement churches between 1956 and 1963. Many movement churches exist today, continuing their roles as the black community's cornerstone. 6th Avenue Baptist is one of the largest black congregations in the city. 16th Street Baptist and Bethel Baptist churches are National Historic Landmarks and are sites within the Birmingham Civil Rights National Monument.
Black businesses served as an essential feature of early Black success in Birmingham. As Blacks moved to Birmingham from rural communities, they created their own businesses to serve their race. Between the 1890s and 1910s, Black businesses organized in the area around 4th Avenue North. The Alabama Penny Savings and Loans originated in 1890 as one of the first Black banking institutions in the United States and erected a building in 1913. Dr. William Pettiford, pastor of the 16th Street Baptist Church, helped organize the bank and become its president in 1899. Booker T. Washington, prominent orator and founder of the Tuskegee Institute, raved about the success of the bank. Like A.H. Parker, Pettiford followed Washington's philosophy of industrial education, racial accommodation, self-help, and economic independence. The Alabama Penny Savings Bank continued to operate until 1915, following Pettiford's death. The closure of the bank did not prevent the growth of the business district. The Grand Lodge of the Knights of Pythias purchased the bank's former location. The colored Masonic Hall served as an entertainment space and housed medical offices and offices of the NAACP. The Booker T. Washington Library, the first public library for Blacks, relocated to the colored Masonic Hall after it opened. One of the building's occupants, Emory O. Jackson, served as one of Black society's leading and influential leaders. Jackson, considered the voice of Black Birmingham, served as a leader of the Birmingham chapter of the NAACP. In the 1940s, Jackson became the editor of the Birmingham World, a predominantly Black circulated newspaper. He used his influence to criticize segregation and to keep Black citizens updated on events. A.G. Gadsden, considered the first Black millionaire in Birmingham, was the most influential businessman in the Black community. A graduate of Tuggle Institute, Gadsden also aligned with Booker T. Washington's philosophy. Gadsden opened many businesses throughout the city, including his funeral home, insurance company, and most notably, the Gadsden Motel. Blacks did not utilize white-owned hotels, which prompted Gadsden's Motel to serve as the finest Black-owned establishment for visitors. Black business leaders like A.G. Gadsden assisted the ACMHR and SCLC in desegregation efforts in the city. Gadsden provided his motel services to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and other leaders. His hotel was one of the Birmingham campaign's headquarters and often open for press conferences. Though Gadsden provided accommodations for movement leaders, he criticized their confrontational methods, especially the use of children in the spring 1963 demonstrations. His opposition to methods and ideologies did not impact his overall support. Gadsden gave bail money for jail protesters and served as a mediator between Black movement leaders and city officials. The 4th Avenue Black Businesses District continues to operate today with popular attractions such as the Green Acres Cafe. The A.G. Gadsden Motel is currently under restoration to serve as a visitor center and museum in the Birmingham Civil Rights National Monument.
Urging the governor to end his efforts to prevent 2 Negro students from registering at the university. The governor is adamant. He made a campaign promise to stand in the doorway himself to prevent the integration of the last all-white state university.
When Blacks arrived in Birmingham, educational opportunities were minimal. The first Black public elementary school opened in 1883, 9 years after the first white school opened. Until 1900, no Black high schools existed. Following concerns from Black citizens, civic and religious leaders petitioned the Birmingham Board of Education to create a high school for Black students. Industrial High School, later renamed A.H. Parker High School, opened in the fall of 1900. Arthur Harold Parker, the first teacher and future principal, was regarded as one of the most respected leaders of the Black middle class. Like other Black middle class leaders, A.H. Parker agreed with Booker T. Washington's philosophy of industrial education, racial accommodation, self-help, and economic independence. In recounting a conversation about his refusal to accept a position at Tuskegee, a man asked Parker about his life's dream. Parker stated, "I told him that my dream was to see built in Birmingham a high school for Negro boys and girls that would be second to none in the South. That dream has come true." The school was renamed A.H. Parker High School after his 1939 retirement. Parker's dream of education for Black students became realized as the high school became known as the largest high school for Negroes in the world. Carrie A. Tubble, a social worker, created the Tubble Institute in 1903. The institute housed both an orphanage and a school for Black children. After her death, the school merged into the Birmingham City school system and closed a few years later. The school system opened the Enum Bridge School in the 1930s and later renamed it Tubble Elementary School in her honor. The school continues to thrive today. Businessman A.G. Gaston learned of Booker T. Washington and his philosophy while attending the original Tubble Institute. Gaston adopted Washington's ideals to guide his business exploration, resulting in a multi-million-dollar empire. Have you ever heard of the Ullman Building on UAB's campus? UAB Athletics currently uses this building, but it originally served as an essential asset to Birmingham's Black community. Ullman High School opened a school for white students and converted to a Black high school in 1937. Notable staff members include Odessa Woolfolk, founding board chair of the Birmingham Civil Rights Institute, and John Wesley Rice, father of former Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice. Cynthia Wesley, one of the 1963 16th Street Baptist Church bombing victims, was a student at the school at the time of her death. Ullman closed in 1970 after school integration and has been a part of UAB's campus ever since. A.H. Parker High School and Tubble Elementary School operate today in the Birmingham City school system. Many of Parker's graduates choose UAB for their post-secondary education.
It's good to be here with you this afternoon. For a while I was getting a little nervous. I said I may not have a reason to come up here after all of that in-depth information, so thank you so much. So I want to speak briefly about UAB and its ties to Ullman High School. As we know, UAB is a relatively young university, not quite 55 years old, and given its official birth date in 1969, it's often viewed as a so-called post-civil rights institution established after the hard-fought battle for school integration. But in its early beginnings, UAB found itself in the throes of the long civil rights movement through its proximate location to and its material interest in the Birmingham Public School that you just heard about, Samuel Ullman High School. Admittedly, I can't do justice to this fascinating history in the brief time that I have, but I hope to pique your interest just to learn a little bit more about this history. So I'll share a few tidbits, and they will relate to who Samuel Ullman was in relation to the Birmingham's Black community, the connection between UAB's Ullman building and its Bell building, and the historic Ullman High School, and how former UAB students took up the mantle of giving Ullman High School back to the community, as they stated, and I would say through a form of restorative service and justice. So in this brief narrative, you will hear some tensions between certain aims and goals. Integration versus Black school preservation. Urban renewal and gentrification versus Black community sustainability. And Black students' association with and commitment to predominantly white institutions versus their commitment to Black interests. So who was Samuel Ullman, and why is his name on Birmingham's school and university buildings? Samuel Ullman was born into a Jewish family in Germany circa 1840, and his family moved to the United States when he was 11 years old and settled in Port Gibson, Mississippi. He fought as a Confederate soldier in the Civil War. He moved his family to Birmingham in 1884, where he connected with Temple Emmanuel. And he was appointed to the first Board of Education in 1884, shortly after his arrival to the city. He was a leading spokesperson for improvement of education in Birmingham, and that helped to elevate the educational standards for Black children. So an elementary school located on the 600 block of 12th Avenue South was opened for white children in 1901, and it was named in his honor. And after the white population in both the community and the school dwindled, the Olin Elementary School was changed to a high school for black students in 1937. And it started with only 9th graders, and then it added 10th graders in 1940, and eventually it became a full-fledged high school in 1951. Local news headlines at the time indicated that the school would, quote-unquote, take pressure off Parker High School. The white children at Olin were transferred to Glen Iris School, which is across the street from UAB Education and Engineering Complex. So Olin students, Olin High School students, and faculty contributed to the civil rights movement in their own unique ways, some of them visible, some of them hidden behind schoolhouse doors. The film just shared with us some of the people who we know about who are connected to Olin. A massive urban renewal program which sparked the expansion of what was then called the University of Alabama Medical Center, now known as UAB, would displace Olin High School. And there was a controversy that brewed between the black community and the Birmingham Board of Education about where the new site for Olin High School would be located. The proposed new site would have been adjacent to the L&N Railroad and nested on a nondescript 30-acre tract that was deemed undesirable to many in the black community. One vocal opponent of the Board of Education's proposed new site was Reverend John Porter, pastor of 6th Avenue Baptist Church, as we learned about a moment ago. And his church happened to be meeting in the current Olin High School building while they were undergoing a new building project of where we know their church to be today. Reverend Porter said at one school board meeting that, quote unquote, no knowledgeable black person would have selected this sloping hole hidden from public view as if the education of blacks is still a matter to hide or is illegal. Porter also expressed concerns that this location where Olin would be moved to would become another black school, that was his words, thereby failing to fulfill new integration mandates. He also pushed the Board of Education to integrate, calling for half its white board members to resign and make room for black members since black people made up 50% of the city at that time. Meanwhile, black parents took their grievances about this new building to the federal courts. At the same time, the Birmingham Board of Education abandoned its plan to select a new site for Olin altogether and eventually closed Olin School and rezoned those students to Parker, Ramsey, West End, Phillips, and Hayes. The last class to graduate was in May 1970. So the only material building legacies of Olin left behind would be on UAB's campus, the Olin building and the Bell Gym, which was named after Olin High School's first principal, Mr. George Bell. In closing, let me mention a tidbit about UAB students' laudable efforts toward restorative service and justice. The Afro-American Association at UAB, something we should learn more about, myself included, started a tutoring program on UAB's campus on the second floor of the Olin building in an effort, as they said, to return Olin High School to the community. The president of the AAA, Prince Chambliss Jr., said, "It's in the interest of the university to give the building back to the community in some way. Our program helps to fulfill that obligation. The tutorial program is the first step toward giving the building back to the community." Black and white students were involved in the program, which, in addition to tutoring, provided free transportation and trips to local cultural and recreational sites, to my understanding, out of the student organization funds. So, students, I hope you're both challenged and inspired to hear this history and to be reminded of the role UAB students can play in pursuing restorative service and justice in our local communities. Thank you.
Entertainment granted Black citizens a temporary escape from Jim Crow society. In the Black business district surrounding 4th Avenue, Blacks could dress in their finest attire and attend shows at the theaters, such as Famous, Frolic, and Champion theaters. The Carver Theater, named after George Washington Carver, opened in 1935. It was one of the few places where Blacks could see first-run movies. The Little Savoy Cafe became a prominent attraction for music, social life, and dining. Its popularity among the Black community afforded visits by Black stars such as Duke Ellington, Jackie Robinson, and Joel Lewis. Music gives Blacks a space for creative expression and freedom. Erskine Hawkins, Fess Whately, and Sun Ra were among the early prominent musicians. Herman Poole Sun Ra Blunt was among the most innovative composers and jazz musicians. He established a successful recording career from the 1950s to the late 1970s. His popularity and contributions earned him an appearance on Saturday Night Live and inductions into the Alabama Jazz Hall of Fame and the Alabama Music Hall of Fame. He died in 1993 in Birmingham. During the Civil Rights Movement, disc jockeys like Tall Paul White and Shelley the Playboy Stewart used their influence in radio programs to spread information in code. Their popularity encouraged young people to join the Spring 1963 demonstrations. Black citizens also enjoyed attending sports games, particularly baseball. The Birmingham Giants were the first Black professional team, operating from 1904 to 1910. The Birmingham Black Barons played professional ball from 1920 to 1960. During their tenure, they played at Rickwood Field, a historic venue built in 1910. Among their early key members were Satchel Paige and Willie Mays. The Black Barons played for several Negro leagues, most notably the Negro Southern League and the Negro National League. The Black Barons helped to organize the Negro American League. They played their last game in 1960 after the major leagues formally desegregated. Today, the city of Birmingham operates the Negro Southern League Museum. It is conveniently located next to Regents Field. The museum tells the story of Black baseball in Birmingham, offering exhibits covering the history of Black baseball teams and key players. The Carver Theater continues to operate in the 4th Avenue Business District. It is home to the Alabama Jazz Hall of Fame and the Birmingham Black Radio Museum.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Darrell Braden, originally from Memphis, Tennessee. I'd like to thank God for this opportunity to be here. It's truly an honor, a blessing, and a privilege. I'm here as the first guy who signed with the UAB men's basketball program. I came to Birmingham in 1977, along with two other guys from Memphis to help establish the basketball program. I transferred in from Texas Christian. They came in from Baylor University. We came along with Coach Barlow because we knew him from Memphis, and we wanted to be a part of something special, to start a program from the ground up. We practiced in the Bell Gym. The Bell Gym was our practice gym, so we got history there too. I'll give you just a brief history of the first 4 years of the program. The first year, we finished 15 and 11. The first time in NCAA history that any school in America finished as a first-year program with a winning record. The second year, we went 18 and 12. went to the NIT. The third year, the team was led by Birmingham natives Oliver Robinson, Chris Giles, Llewellyn Foster, Norman Ankrum, and they took the team to the Sweet 16. The fourth year, led by those same guys, UAB rose to the Elite Eight. No team in the history of America have ever accomplished those feats in their first 4 years of existence. I'm also a graduate. I came back to get my degree in 2008, so I'm a graduate of UAB as well. I'm a member of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated. I'm back here now in another capacity. I'm the FCA director for the men's basketball program, FCA, Fellowship of Christian Athletes. So I'm back home in full circle. I wrote a book which details the history of UAB basketball and how it got started. It's also a personal testimony of my life and where God has led me and where I am now. Hey, if you got any questions about anything other than that, I'll be sitting in the back. Hey, I just want to thank Sharifa for this. Hey, man, this is something special to me. You know, just sitting here and listening to the history of Birmingham. Yeah, I hope you guys are enjoying this. And I thank y'all for giving me the opportunity to speak briefly about the history of the UAB basketball program. Thank you.
So please stay with me. I know a lot of education comes from also like lots of Let's stay engaged. Thank you so much to our previous speaker. And please, yes, definitely check out his table, purchase a book, connect with him, connect with all of our community groups that we brought up this afternoon. So if you don't know me already, I'm April Myers. I am the coordinator of Fraternity and Sorority Life, located in the Student Involvement and Leadership Office. I work with Stacey Rowan, the Assistant Director of Fraternity and Sorority Life. And so one of the groups that I advise is the National Panhellenic Council. I'm also a part of that council. I joined on behalf of CBM Roadshow Incorporated at Missouri State University. And so thank you so much for this opportunity as well. So in addition to the history that you've already learned, I would like to shed light on the connection to Birmingham's Black community, particularly from the UAB side of the house. So the University of Alabama at Birmingham became autonomous in 1969, but its foundations in Birmingham's Black community can be traced to the 1930s. If you didn't know, in 1936, the Birmingham Extension Center of the University of Alabama was created to offer higher education opportunities to students in the greater Birmingham area. In 1945, the UA Medical School moved to Birmingham and gained supervision of the Jefferson and Hillman hospitals. This merger permitted the eventual establishment of the University Hospital. While Vivian Malone and James Hood were the first Black students to successfully enroll in the University of Alabama system, Luther Lawler was the first Black student to register at the Birmingham Extension Center. He enrolled in September 1963, just months after the spring mass demonstrations, in the same month of these first successful rounds of school integration and the 16th Street Baptist Church bombing. If you haven't already seen the Birmingham Civil Rights Memorial Institute Institute, you should probably go check that out. There's a lot of wealthy, healthy information regarding Birmingham, but also its connection to the civil rights movement. So I encourage you all to, of course, check that out, and if you've already done so, great. One could only imagine Lawler's courage and determination to make this pivotal step. In 1964, President Lyndon B. Johnson signed the Civil Rights Act of 1964, which prohibits discrimination based on race, color, religion, sex, and national origin. Shortly after, post-secondary education opportunities expanded for Black students. That same year, Dr. James T. Montgomery became the first Black physician at the University Hospital and the first Black faculty appointment in the medical school. Interesting to myself, if you you did not know again, by the fall of 1964, 44 Black students decided to pave their way by enrolling at the Birmingham Extension Center. Wilma Ann Barnes became the first Black student enrolled in any programs for the medical school and graduated in 1965. That same year, Barbara Walker became the first Black student in the University Hospital School of Nursing. And Dr. Clifton Dummett became the first Black faculty member in the School of Dentistry. So I already know a lot of my students, particularly part of MPHC, but also our episode community, are in nursing programs, and so this is really fascinating. Shining light on these monuments, by September 1966, the Birmingham Extension Center was renamed the College of General Studies, and 2 months later was deemed the University of Alabama in Birmingham, a degree-granting branch of the University of Alabama in Tuscaloosa. 2 A.H. Parker High School graduates, Richard Charles Hale and Samuel William Sullivan, became the first Black students of the Medical College of Alabama. In 1969, the year UAB became an independent university, Deloitte Skipwith became the first Black faculty member in the School of Nursing and the first Black tenure-track faculty member at the university. Abraham Woods, who is actually a relative of my partner, a prominent civil rights leader who contributed to the success of the 1963 Birmingham campaign, became an adjunct instructor in the history department. In 1970, Doctors Richard Dale and Samuel Sullivan became the first Black graduates of the School of Medicine. The Afro-American Student Association, similar, I would say, to what we know as the Black Student Awareness Committee, was created, and by 1971, Bracy Watson was elected as the first Black president of the UAB Student Government Association. In 1975, the university honored prominent civil rights attorney Arthur Shores with an honorary doctorate of humanities degree. Dr. Aaron L. Lamar Jr. was named Assistant Vice President and Dean of Student Affairs, becoming the first African American appointed to a senior administrative position at UAB. Many other essential Black faculty appointments and student milestones occurred throughout the 1970s and 80s. While there are many to recognize, we cannot forget about the contributions made by the Black faculty, staff, and students that helped to build a thriving Black community at UAB. Former Ullman High School teacher and UAB faculty member Odessa Woolfolk and civil rights leader and instructor Abraham Woods were instrumental in creating the Birmingham Civil Rights Institute, which opened in 1992. Woolfolk served as the Institute's founding administrator, and I actually found out that I want to say about 2 years ago he stepped down from that position, so someone else has that. Today, UAB Black alumni, staff, and faculty members and students continue to cultivate the success of Birmingham's Black community through public affairs, businesses, churches, and education. Thank you.
This has truly been enjoyable, but it's also been challenging as we look back on the history of not only Birmingham, but also UAB and UAB's Black student population. I appreciate you for your vision in having this event, because it says that African American history, Black history is our history. It is American history. It is a history that will not be compromised. It is a history that will not be assimilated. It is a history of resilience. It's a history of excellence. It's a history of perseverance. And I feel that after sitting here today, UAB is in good hands. And I appreciate you, young people. I appreciate the Black Student Awareness Organization. I appreciate B-Men. I appreciate advisors. I appreciate Dr. John Jones, who leads the Division of Student Affairs, for all you're doing in making sure that our students understand that we have a past, but we also have a future. So I appreciate that. Some of you mentioned Prince Tamlis And that's ironic because there is a conversation tonight, a virtual conversation between Mr. Prince Chambers, who was the first president of the Afro Student Organization, and Dr. Maurice Hobson, who is Associate Professor of African American Studies at the University of Georgia. And so if you want that information, if you would like to tune in, both have gone on and done excellent work. And so if you would like to tune in, please do so. I think that's going to be an important conversation. The last thing I want to say is that we live in an age of misinformation and miseducation. And so I want to put in a plug for the African American Studies program. We want to correct information, misinformation. You hear a lot of things about, critical race theory, and many times people don't really understand what critical race theory is. So please think about taking an African American Studies course. This is a program that started in the 1970s. It has been a program since for 23 years in April. So we want you to be a part of it. We want this program to grow. We have hopes of even greater things for the African American Studies program. So think about taking a course. African American Studies is for everybody. So we want you to think about taking a course. Joining us, major, minor, please join us. And lastly, I would say, I challenge you to continue in excellence. This is what you're doing. You are excellent. You are promoting excellence. I had the opportunity to be a part of the B-Men 15th anniversary gala, and it was absolutely excellence on display. And not just with B-Men, but throughout this student population, I see over and over again examples, demonstrations of excellence. Pursue excellence. Stay with it. Achieve your goals. Thank you so much for the advisors and those who had the vision, to start this event. Thank you so much. Thank you for allowing me to be a part of it. Thank you.